Now that you know how I feel about you, don't let it go to your head, no. Don't let it go to your head, no, no, no.
Confidant community, welcome to the live at 5 with the Financial Confidant. Tell me if you know this one.
Don't let it go to your head, no. Don't let it go to your head, no, no, no. Don't take advantage of my love. Keep it good, keep it bad, keep it bad.
Okay, if you know this song, post it in the chat, please.
Don't let it go to your head, no. Don't let it go to your head, no, 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 no. Cause if you're playing games,
So, Confidant
it
community,
would be a shame. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
So, if you do not know this song, you are missing out. Welcome to the Live at 5, everyone. As always, this live is about making financial conversations accessible, and today will be no different. And I really just wanted to give the Confidant community some time to respond to see if anyone knows this oldie but goodie. It's actually a cover. Let's see if anybody posts in the chat about this. Let me just check. I'll give some time here and see if anybody posts. It's, as I said, an oldie but a goodie. It's actually a cover done by another artist, and I think they did a pretty good job of it. The original song was by an artist by the name of Jean Carn. I don't know if you're familiar with this artist. She was a very well-known soul singer in her day. But this version is by, let's see if anybody got it, by the Brand New Heavies. And so, you know, every single week when I do the live, there's a reason for my rhyme and a rhyme for my reason. So why did I choose this song, Confidant Community? Don't Let It Go to Your Head is the title by the Brand New Heavies, and because I was waiting for people to see if they would get it, but it's Don't Let It Go to Your Head. And it's simple. When it comes to planning a vacation, people often get in over their head. So this often leads to overspending. And these days, when more Canadians are truly not in a position to overspend due to mounting credit card debt, anybody have any of that? Higher monthly living costs, and of course, paying higher interest costs on their mortgage and their rent. And, you know, of course, just overall increased costs to live. So I just wonder how many people are letting their vacation that they're planning or maybe not planning go to their head and leading to overspending. So, Confidant community, are you planning on going on vacation this summer? If you are, please feel free to post in the chat and tell me something. How do you plan to fund this vacation? Do you have cash in the bank? Or is this a pay for it later kind of situation? Feel free, post in the chat. No judgment. We just want to know what you're thinking, what you're doing, feeling the pulse. Earlier this month, actually, and you can see it on our LinkedIn page, my team and I did a survey just to check how many people plan to spend, you know, a certain amount on their vacation. And what we got back was that most people that did our survey plan to spend $4,000 or more on their vacation. Now, I'd love to know, what's your budget, Confidant community? Do you even have a budget? And, you know, when it comes to vacation planning, as I said, it's so really easy to get caught up in the moment and let things go to your head. And I just think it's really important to not be left with a financial hangover later, right? That's actually the worst, is to have that financial hangover after the vacation when you come back and you're like, ooh, I feel so good. And then you get your credit card bill. So let's get into the top 10 tips on how to vacation smartly and to hang on, that's the most important thing, to more of your hard-earned cash this vacation season. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorite financial hacks around this, because we are hacking talking about hacking your life all this month. So this particular live is going to be on travel hacks. So my very first tip, so get ready to jot this down, Confidant community, is plan and research in advance. Now, I actually feel like this is a great time to start planning your vacation for next year. But if you didn't get a chance to do that, perhaps this is a good time to start thinking, what did I plan? Like, what did I do to actually, from a saving standpoint, to actually plan for the vacation I'm going to plan to have this summer? Do I have cash? As we mentioned, do you have cash in an account somewhere? If you didn't do all of that, there might still be time to look for deals on travel websites if you're still in the midst of planning that summer vacation. Don't just book. Look around, check out different travel websites, compare prices, read reviews. That way you'll still get an opportunity to have the best value for your money that you can find right now. So check it out. I would love for the Confidant community to talk about what are some of your favorite travel websites for last minute deals. If you have some favorite ones, post in the chat. There's also some really great different opportunities to, as I mentioned, start planning for next year's vacation. So this is a good time to start a vacation savings account. Anybody have a vacation savings account out there? If you do, post in the chat. Don't be shy. But yeah, if you do have a vacation savings account, this is a good time to set one up for your vacation next year. And as I mentioned, Confidant community, post in the chat some of your favorite travel websites. I would love to see what people come up with. And then the second tip is related to the first a little bit, which is how many of you travel during peak season for holidays? Right now, this is considered peak season. But the other thing you can do is perhaps travel during the week, find out what the best day is to travel over the next few weeks, so that there's an opportunity to save on during the week flights versus weekend flights, for example. But traveling off peak can help you save a lot of money on things like accommodations, flights, and attractions during the lower periods. I just came back from Stratford. I don't know how many theater goers are out there, but I went during the week to see some shows. And as a result of that, I was able to get rush seats for my ticket, which means I paid like 50% off the actual theater ticket price. It wasn't as busy where we were staying, so we got a better deal because we were staying, my partner and I, during the week, so we saved money that way. And it just meant that it was easier to get into restaurants and do some of the things we wanted to do. And it just meant for a more peaceful and a much more budget-friendly trip. So consider how you can do that yourself. I know it's not always easy when you've got kids off for things like, March break and Christmas and of course summer break. But think about how you can incorporate off-peak travel and keep more of your money in your pocket and make it easier for you to stick to your budget. So that's number 2. Number 3, consider alternative accommodations. So if you're going away on holidays, how many of you out there use, things like Airbnb? That's an alternative accommodation, or even VBRO, vacation business rental, or even camping. I know a lot of clients. I'm not a big camper myself, but I know a lot of clients out there who do camping. That's a really great way to save on accommodation. Who can say tents, anybody, sleeping bags versus expensive hotel rooms? How many of you love that type of vacation where you're actually out literally in nature? I would love to hear from the campers out there, or potentially the glampers out there. I feel like I'm more of a glamper myself, but I, again, would love to get your feedback on how many of you out there are using alternative accommodations. Those are definitely some ways to be more budget friendly and still have a pretty great experience. The kids don't know, as far as vacation, what we consider a unique experience. That's something that everyone should define for themselves. So would love to know how many of you out there take an Airbnb or VBRO holidays. And if you are, what type of unique places are you traveling? What unique campgrounds? Where are some places that you're going that you're using Airbnb or VBRO? Feel free to post in the chat as well. I'd love to know where people are going to this summer. I've heard a lot of people talk about some public parks that they're visiting, and also staying overnight, different conservation areas. But I've also heard of people traveling to Europe, to Italy, to Greece using Airbnb. So love to know what you are doing. So feel free to post. Another tip is number 4, use public transportation, because renting a car or taking taxis, it really adds up. Costs a bit of dough. So I know in Canada, there's lots of efficient public transportation systems that you can use on to save money. Also in Europe. So research ahead of time what public transportation systems are available in the place that you're traveling, and might that be a more affordable way for you to get around versus, Uber or Tabs or, renting a car. So explore that option before you go. So again, you can kind of put in your budget what all these things are going to cost you. Speaking of cost, I'm a huge fan of free or low cost activities. So that's my tip number 5. Take advantage as you're looking for vacations, even if you're doing a staycation, take advantage of free or low cost activities. There's lots of free or low cost activities in your vacation destination. There's lots here if you're doing a staycation. So consider that many, many museums, parks, attractions offer discounted or even free admission on certain days or times. There's so many free options. I'm a big Google fan, and I often, when I have my partner's grandchildren, I'll just put free activities for children this weekend, and you'll be surprised what comes up. You can literally do that in any city, anywhere in the world. So feel free, see what's out there that's free rather than, an activity you'd have to actually spend, more money on. Number 6, how many of you, when you go on vacation, and this again could be a staycation, or even if you are, staying in a VBRO or Airbnb, in another city, I know some people who went to Barcelona, pack your own meals. So maybe you're going to the museum one day, or going to a famous site if you're in some other part of the world, or even if you're here, as I said, doing a staycation, pack your own lunches. That can really add up. Have you guys gone to a restaurant lately since COVID? Costs have gone up considerably, especially in areas where they know tourists lurk. So to save your money, consider packing your own meals and eat, or even eating at, check out what's available where you're going to go eat to see what's budget friendly. A friend of mine recently told me she went to Cannes, and she was there for a few weeks, and she just bought, like, near a museum she was looking at, she bought a sandwich and a drink, like I think a Perrier, and get this, the bill was 60 euros. And she was like, oh my gosh. But hard to say anything when you're in Cannes and you didn't look around to see what that local place that you were buying stuff at costs. So she had no choice but to pay that 60 euro. Could she have done something else with that 60 euro? Of course she could, but too late when you didn't plan. And now I'm going to go on to number 7. Number 7 is look for travel reward programs. There's so many travel reward programs out there offered by airlines, hotels, credit card companies. And, I'm a huge points fan, and accumulating points or miles can truly help you save on future trips, or even help you to upgrade your vacation experience. So don't be afraid to collect points and leverage those points to help you pay for that trip. I would love, again, community, tell me some of your favorite travel programs. Feel free to post those in the chat so we can share. Sharing is caring, as I like to say. I personally like Rewards Canada for the latest info on companies that offer the best reward programs. But by all means, that's not the only thing that's out there. I'd love to know what you use to maximize your travel points. Number 8, take advantage of free walking tours. Now, I don't know if many of you know this. Many cities offer free walking tours led by very, very knowledgeable locals. And now these tours not only provide a great way for you to explore the city, but also will give you insights into history, into culture. Again, confidant community, people, do not be afraid to Google walking free tours or free walking tours. You will be shocked because they're happening right now in every city, every day, all over the world. I was in Austin in May, and I took advantage of a free walking tour in Austin, learned so much about Austin history. I was shocked of, what now I understand about Texas and what Lone Star means. Honestly, I have to post about some of these things in the future, so stay tuned. But check out the walking free tours. There are definitely ways to learn more about a city that don't cost dough, right? Number 9, how many of you do this? Shop at local markets. How many of you shop at local markets? I hate those tourist traps myself. So instead of buying souvenirs from these touristy areas, why not visit local markets where you can find often way more unique items and often at a cheaper price point? I also love that idea of just supporting local businesses that engage with the actual culture versus, all of these, bigger companies or these tourist traps that often have very little place and time relevance to that area of the, because they're just selling, commercially popular tourist items, not necessarily things that relate to that specific locale or that specific history. So, support those local vendors and really help them continue to be able to help you when you go into these different travel areas. And then finally, number 10, set a daily budget. So when you go, I would love for you to post in the chat about this. When you go on vacation, how do you keep track of what you're spending, confidant community? What do you do? Feel free to post in the chat. I'd love to know how you stay on top of your budget when you're away. I personally like to just do all of the math before I go. Like, this is what my budget is. And then really what I do every day is just keep that amount of money in my pocket. Or if it's my credit card I'm using, that's my limit for the credit card for the day. And if I go over, then the next day I reduce what I'm going to spend, because it's so easy to get caught up in the moment and let things go to your head or to your heart and, overspend. So recommend, before you go on your vacation, map it out, figure out what it's going to cost you, figure out what spending money you're going to be able to spend each day for things like food and maybe things that you want to check out, and also what you're going to spend on transport. All those things, have that in your back pocket so it's easier for you to stay on track. And, remember, it's possible to have a really great vacation without breaking the bank, confidant community. So I'm truly recommending that you use these hacks that we've talked about today to be mindful of your spending, so it doesn't go to your head, as the song mentions. You definitely can make the most of your vacation on a budget, and hopefully you'll use some of these tools to figure out how to do that. And, again, if you need support, because I understand sometimes, building a budget and sticking to it are two different animals. So if you're somebody who struggles with building a budget, a vacation budget, or a budget overall, we have all kinds of tools that we can support you with in creating that budget. So reach out to us if you want some resources on how to create a budget that you can use for the rest of the year, a budget that you can plan your vacation for 2025. Feel free to reach out to us. Jody's on the chat. She can provide those resources to you. Or if you want to have a 30-minute conversation on how you can keep more of that money in your pocket for this year, we're happy to have that conversation with you as well. So thank you, confidant community, for tuning into the live today. And if you missed any of the travel hacks we shared, you can check out our live summary on Sunday. I hope you enjoyed this live. And if you did, please click the like button and comment and share with a friend. Sharing is caring. And remember, check out our YouTube channel and our social media channels, all of our social media channels, for the latest updates. See you next week, folks, for our last live. We have one more live for this month on hacking your life. You have seen a few that we've been sharing all month. Last week we had the one on hacking actually getting hacked, which was a bit crazy because we had that shutdown last week. But next week's live is also super special. It's going to be on hacking and how it relates to your mental health. So stay tuned for that. See you next week, Confidant community. Thanks again, everybody.